All right, today we're going to step into this really timeless story. It's a parable that's all about creation, destruction, and, well, the way we so often misunderstand what progress actually looks like. We're going to explore the parable of the hammer and the sculptor. And this quote, wow, this is right at the very heart of our story. I mean, it's this powerful prophetic declaration, right? It's a promise that something even greater is on its way, and it's spoken by this mysterious figure whose whole purpose we're about to figure out.
Okay, so to really understand what's going on with this prophecy, we've got to meet the man who actually said it. Who is this guy and what exactly is he doing? Well, it all kicks off with this first really powerful blow.
So our story starts out here, in this huge, empty wasteland, and there's just one guy, our protagonist. He's this total free spirit, you know? He's not creating for admiration or applause. Nope, he's doing it purely for the love of the material itself. And all he's got are two simple tools, a hammer and a chisel.
And this is where we see a really crucial difference between his tools. You've got the hammer, right? That's for the first blow, that kind of violent act of demolition. It's all about raw power, just clearing the way. But then you have the chisel. That's for the final form, the delicate, careful act of creation. And this split, this separation of powers, it's absolutely central to what this whole parable is about. So as you can imagine, this guy, working away out there, he starts to draw a crowd. He gets followers. But, and this is a big but, they make a huge mistake, a really fundamental error in understanding what he's actually doing.
You see, his disciples, they fell into this classic trap. They were just so blown away by the power, the visible act of the hammer swinging, that they mistook it for the end goal. They saw all the destruction, the broken ships of stone flying everywhere, and they thought, wow, that's the art. They were celebrating the process, the demolition, and completely missing the whole point.
And this right here, this quote perfectly shows their mistake. Think about it. Their praise isn't for his vision or his goal. It's for his raw strength. They're glorifying the hammer, the tool of preparation, as if it's the tool that makes the final masterpiece. They're cheering for the foundation being dug, not the beautiful building it's supposed to support.
Okay, so this brings us to the big turning point in the story. The sculptor hears all this misguided praise and he realizes, oh no, they're worshiping the wrong thing. He knows he has to completely shatter their illusion, and boy, does he do it in a dramatic way.
But let's just pause for a second here. Why was their admiration so wrong? I mean, on the surface, praise sounds like a good thing, right? So why did it make him furious instead of proud? What was so dangerous about the way they were cheering him on? And with these words, he just lays it all out there. You fools. He wasn't the destination, he was the path. His whole purpose was to be a transition, just a necessary step to get from the old thing to the new thing. It's like if you admire a bridge so much that you just stand on it forever, you never actually get to where it was meant to take you.
Yeah, this whole concept of the bridge is absolutely key. The original text even calls his work a going under so that a greater going over could happen. Just think about that. He had to lower himself to almost disappear, to let himself be walked over so that something even greater could come along. His entire value is on the fact that he wasn't permanent.
So here's the main takeaway, right? All that powerful, violent, impressive work he was doing with the hammer, that wasn't the real creation. Not at all. It was just the necessary act of clearing the stage. He was the demolition crew, making a mess to clear the lot. He wasn't the architect designing the new skyscraper. And this brings us to the final, and honestly, the most profound lesson in this whole parable. We're going to look at the meaning behind the sculptor's ultimate sacrifice and what it's really trying to teach us.
So when he throws his hammer down and just steps aside, his followers see it as total failure. They think he's just giving up, throwing away his power. But the reality? It was the exact opposite. That act of making himself smaller was actually his greatest act of will. It was the complete fulfillment of his entire purpose.
And this gets us to the central theme of the whole parable. It's this incredibly powerful idea called self-overcoming. And what is that? Well, it's the virtue of not clinging to your own power, not holding on to your own glory, but instead using everything you have to pave the way for something or someone that will eventually be even greater than you.
So in the end, that was the sculptor's true role. He was a prophet. His power was always meant to be temporary. It was just preparation. That was the whole design. He wasn't serving himself. He was serving a will much greater than his own, the will of the future, which was going to be embodied by that greater artist, the one with the chisel, who was still on his way.
And that really leaves us with a big question to think about, doesn't it? What's the hammer in our own lives? What are those necessary, maybe even destructive, preparatory steps that we might be mistaking for the final masterpiece? You know, what's just the messy work of breaking the ground, and what is the true creation that we should really be waiting for?